Good evening, everybody. For those of you who haven't been initiated, that's what they call death metal. Music that's not just only loud and aggressive, it's obsessed with death, suicide, violence, the kind of stuff that scares the daylights out of nice, respectable, middle-class people.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lair interviews. I'm Tom, here in Brisbane, Australia, and today I'm talking with Sam Bean, vocalist and bassist of Werewolves, who will be supporting Abath for their upcoming Australian tour in January. How you going, man?
I fucking hate everything. How you doing?
Don't we all? Yeah, I'm doing all right. So I'm going to jump right into it. Your lyrics,
Uh,
they dive into hatred, social criticism, all that stuff, but
mm,
sometimes they strike me as it's a type of aggression that's very personal, very targeted to one person without, naming them. So I'm
mm.
wondering, where do you get the rage and the inspiration from?
A specific one person who I'm not going to name. No, just kidding. It's pretty much from everywhere. It's funny. Like the day that we're doing this call, all sorts of shit has been breaking loose online, and everyone seems to be fucking losing their minds. In fact, it seems to be just the theme for September. So for a guy like me that makes my artistic name out of like mining a rich seam of hatred, like I'm on the mother lode at the moment. Really, if I want to just like tap into blithering stupidity and unfocused aggression, all I have to do is switch on my fucking phone, and there it is, and lots of it, and from people who have known me for years and should really know better. So yeah, it's I've never had a problem like sort of like tapping anger and rage and hatred. I think it's the thinking person's disease, unfortunately. Um, and these days more than ever, I guess. So yeah, I guess that sort of answers that one.
It's enough to have someone as personal in your life that gets you like that, but all you need to do is get on social media and there's enough to get angry about already. So fair enough, man.
I'm pretty lucky. My personal life is fairly like clear these days of like of those sorts of people.
Oh, that's great, man. I'm glad to hear it. That's
Yeah.
that's the only thing you need. Yeah, so your songs have a kind of, I don't know, I guess like a feral vibe, but at the same time,
Mm.
it's surgically tight. And you
Yeah.
have this kind of savage vocal style, but it's also you still manage to be quite intelligible compared to a lot of other death black metal bands. So do you see clarity as part of the attack, or is it just how your voice kind of sounds naturally?
It kind of comes natural and through my influences and our influences. Like Matt and Dave are big fans of Marduk, and we've always said for Wells that Panzer Division Marduk is like the North Star for what we do. Like there's always other influences like Bestial or Lust or Angel Corpse or stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I think when Matt is deciding what riff to put in or Dave's picking beats, like if they ever get stuck, which they rarely do, they're thinking like, what would Marduk do? Um, as for myself, I sort of grew up like, death metal for me was Morbid Angel first and foremost, and Dave Vincent era Morbid Angel, uh, and also Glenn Benton. And the thing about those two vocalists, particularly Dave, is that they're incredibly brutal, but they're also very clear. Um, and I think the clarity is just from years of me growing up and like just playing along to them on bass and wanting to sound like them. To me, metal took like all sorts of weird left turns and not for the better over the years. And one of them was when everyone got enraptured with formless, sick gutturals, which were amazing the first time I heard them. Like the first time I heard Will Mortician do that, and then fuck, disgorge,
Yeah,
back in the day, like, start sounding like a bathtub getting emptied. I was like, wow, that's amazing. But we
that's a
only,
good way of putting it. Yeah.
yeah, but we only needed those two bands and they're a novelty. And I didn't sort of like, I don't think anyone foresaw that an entire musical genre would basically stick with that style. And to me, a lot of aggression is lost when, first off, when the singer's unintelligible. Second, when it's just deep and monochrome. Is got to be a bit of variety, a bit of strength, like a bit of rhythm in it, and that's what Dave Vincent and Glenn Benton did so well, and I'm just trying to be like them.
Fair enough. Yeah, I remember those empty and gurgly bathtub bands years ago, and we all just used to laugh about it and think, this is hilarious, but it's not going to stick around. But they just kept coming. There was more of them, and they just, so
Yeah,
it's a thing now.
I
So
I remember Tony doing it on a Blood Duster album, and like I couldn't stop laughing for about half an hour. Just I was like, that's so stupid. It's brilliant.
yeah,
But here we are now, like about 30 years later, and I'm like,
some of them were kind
just
of beady though, like slammy. They had a good rhythm to them. They wasn't bad. It was just sometimes the vocals was a bit, yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
so nihilism can often be misread as apathy, but your music, it's not so much that. It's more furious than indifferent. So what would you say the differences would be there?
Well, I was going to say you put it pretty well. Apathy is kind of like the I don't care, and a lot of people grow out of that. By the time they grow out of their teens, whereas nihilism, like I think that's you can arrive at that pose a whole bunch of different ways, but I think at the core of it is someone who always believed in something originally and ended up being just disappointed. I know that mightn't be the exact dictionary take of it, but like that's always been my sort of like read. I wouldn't want to apply that so much to werewolves because like it sounds a little bit more emo than we are.
Okay.
We kind of like to a fault make sure that it's like some alpha hatred that you're getting out of there, not some beta feeling sorry for yourself, like someone made me clean up my room today, fucking immaturity, which wouldn't wear too well because we're old. But yeah, that's kind of where we're coming from, and it's probably why people throw nihilism at us a little bit. There is like some idealism. There is a lot of like I am disappointed in all you motherfuckers like running through a lot of the music and the lyrics. So yeah, and it probably doesn't help as well with Mitchell's artwork. It's there's a big dollop of nihilism that gets mixed in with the paint for each one of those, I think.
What's the writing process like among you three? Do you flesh out entire songs together or separately?
Nah, it's separate. It hasn't really changed since the first album. We're on number 6 at the moment. Basically, Matt just starts raining riffs. I say raining riffs. He tends to give us complete fleshed out songs, and they will go through to Dave, largely unchanged, who will bash him out on drums like 6 months after getting them, and then it makes its way to me. Sorry, and yeah, I've got the painful and thankless task of like learning Matt's riffs on bass, and because the guy is like a bit of a fucking fiend. Like I. I'm a shit bassist who's been forced to like sprint to keep up with like some actual serious musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens, and then I've usually got like a ton of snippets of lyrics or ideas like lying around. And quite often on the first listen of what I hear from Dave and Matt, I'll have impressions already of like what I want to hear where, and that will fill in about 2/3 of it. And then it's just like a jigsaw puzzle of like putting stuff from the lyric sheet into the song. So it's we'd love to be one of those bands that all just gets into a room and writes music together. Like I remember Ulcerate telling me that's how they do it, and the incredibly like demographic process that they sort of employ to make songs that involves everyone, and the ideas get swished through everyone's skull, and it takes years. Whereas I think for us, what we do, our method works really well. Matt and Dave are like over in Melbourne. I'm in Adelaide. So getting into a room together, like we only do that literally about once a year.
Right.
We'll rehearse a new set. We'll discuss any band business. That usually takes about 10 minutes. and make any decisions, and then that's us done for the year.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, we've got a pretty efficient way of doing it, and that's the main process. There's some rare moments where Matt will put a song through and a riff gets clipped, or we'll be like, "Oh, it sounds a bit too much like something else," or and then there's about once on an album where Dave will put his drums in, and we'll listen to like the song, and then we'll be like, "Oh, this goes for too long, or this riff repeats too much," and then we'll just chop it out. So, but that is largely the process. It's an assembly line that goes Matt, Dave, Sam.
Mm-hmm. You might think that sounds messy, but that actually makes sense to me because that's kind of how it is. Art is messy. It doesn't always have to be completely organized. That's kind of the point, I guess.
I've always been blown away by like the bands, the death metal bands, who can actually get in a room together and write music. Like, it is not the most democratic like of
It's
art
not that
forms.
simple. Just you walk in, you just write 5 or 6 songs and you walk out. No.
Yeah, no, it's like getting an orchestra into a room and be like, "Okay, guys, so just jam something out." It's like, no, it's too dynamic, and like, it's too Walmart effect. There's too many like possibilities and things you can do. You just can't like. I think you always need that one core person doing the writing, or if not the writing, at least the quality control.
Right. So how do you know when a song is done? Like, is it just instinct, or does someone do the stinky face? Like
literally, it's when like we get the mixes and the masters back from Joe Haley. Like, there's very little self-doubt or analysis that goes into it all the way through. There's moments where we'll check in with each other, and I guess there's a little bit of quality control that happens like that way. But there's no working a song and throwing in ideas until we're happy with it. It is largely, let's see what Matt does. Okay, that's what he did. Let's see what Dave does to that. Okay, wow, that's a surprise. And then 6 months later, they'll hear like what I've done for vocals once it's mixed. I'll chuck them the lyric sheet just so they can assure me that we're not about to get cancelled by anyone. Like, because I walk the line a little bit.
Put it through the filter. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some times, particularly like with the first few albums, where they were kind of like, better not say that, man. And lyrics have been tweaked. It's not like I've sort of like come out there just advocating some heinous like shit or anything like that. But sometimes there's words which are trigger words for the moment. And those guys who are more deeply ensconced in the scene, they know if like this word's just going to get taken right out of like context, and people are going to fucking fire up at it out of the blue. So, kind of lucky with that situation so far. And it's not, as I say, it's not stuff that you'd normally think. Like, I'll give you an example. This actually didn't come from the guys. It came from a press manager using the word abusive, both in lyrics but also to describe an album that we'd done. And they're like, "No, you got to take that word out. It won't get
gutted,
taken."
slaughtered, raped. Those are fine, but not abused.
Not abusive. So yeah, I think we moved on from that guy pretty quickly, and the next one is like the most abusive death metal album you hear in your fucking worthless life. But that is kind of like, as I say, just the level that conversation happens at. It's not sort of like going, "Man, you can't do a song about like, urethra fucking an infant," or anything like that. It's probably wouldn't write that anyway, but it's, the guys are happy with it pushing limits, but they will sort of like pick out the things that are just going to get hashtagged.
Yeah, well, it's a slippery slope with metal, isn't it? Because like we have to, there's a certain expectation, but it goes into that ground a little bit sometimes. So
it's just in general, like if you go on a social media like once a year at least, for a normal person, you'll type something that will just get taken way out of context and people will take issue with and get in your face about, and half the time it's them willfully misunderstanding you. So it's kind of everywhere now. I guess it's part of the the local global landscape.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I got Matt and Dave to save me.
Okay, yeah, that's at least working well with you guys, because you got your filter and
Yeah.
So you've been quite a few bands before, Werewolves and all that. So what's unique about the chemistry with Matt and Dave? compared to the others?
Well, let me see. Berserker was very much Luke's band, Luke Kenny's band. And although there was times where it felt like we had a lot of investment in it, like when we did Matt and I did the Dissimulate album. At the end of the day, it was his band, and the music would come through him. Like, and he's not a guitar person, like whereas myself and particularly Matt are slaves to the riff. Luke is the drum
man
and
of
bass
culture,
kind of
I
guy.
see.
Yes. However, Luke is like he's got the drummer and the drum and bass, or not the drum and bass, the speedcore gabba background. So for him, it was always like about overwhelming rhythms and noises, and the riffs were kind of like, yeah, whatever. And we get crunched and munched and berserkerized beyond all recognition quite often. So for that, it was very much a vehicle. I joined a similar band, kind of to the current werewolf situation, when I was in England. It was called Mithras. They do very psychedelic death metal. It sounds like the Golden Florida era. Great
Sounds
stuff.
familiar, I think. Yeah.
They put out this album a couple of years ago. Their last one was called, I think, Time Never Lasts, and it is unreal. It is so fucking good, and I'm so pissed off to this day still that they did it without me. But that was it was a great band to be part of while it was going. It was a three-piece, a couple of good musicians, really, really good musicians that I was struggling to keep up with, but it was pure death metal, like, so really in my wheelhouse.
Nice.
Since then, band-wise, Matt and I have also done the Antichrist Imperium, and that's another long-distance kind of project, working with Sam Loynes and Dave Gray, the Akakoka guys in London. And that one is really different. That one Dave was trying to do a collaborative sort of writing project, which is hard to do because we're in Australia and separated over here, and they're over in England. So at the end of the day, like, you'd just be throwing ideas, and that one was some of the best music I think I've been part of, but it was also the most challenging band-wise to get stuff done.
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of the opposite of Werewolves, where Werewolves we just like sort of smash out albums like one after the other, and very easily, and it was very frictionless deliveries. Whereas like with that one, everything was tricky and challenging. And some people probably go, well, the proof is in the pudding with that one, because it does sound pretty sick. And then, Werewolves compared to all that is, the easiest band I've been in. A bit like Mithras, but Mithras, that sort of sanity and easiness didn't hold for particularly long before it sort of fell apart. Whereas Matt and Dave are really centered people, real down the line. They are definitely the kind where if you need to make that one phone call at 2 a.m. because you're in jail and need bail, like those are the guys that you dial up. Like,
Excellent.
Just reliable, and reliable musically as well. Like, when it comes to playing live, there's bands I've stepped out on the stage with where it's just like, fuck, I've got no idea what's going to happen. Like, and you're just shitting yourself. And there's like plenty of car crashes, where with Matt and Dave, like, it's fucking great. You just step out there and it's just going to get laid down perfectly.
Amazing.
And you can just focus on what you're doing. So it's weird, man. Like, it took me until like my mid 40s or so, but it's the most fun band I've probably been in. And it's the one I'm probably getting the most shit done.
Excellent. That's what you want, getting shit done. Yeah, I've seen extreme metal burn people out physically and mentally, like really, really badly. So I was wondering, like, what is it that's kept you guys so locked in?
I think the stupidity of the goal that we set of like doing 10 albums in 10 years. And definitely by now it'd be like a tragedy to fucking stop at this point because we're on album number 6. Like we're past the hump. It's all downhill from here, yay. But at the end of it, I think at the very start when we were doing this, like, we were all kind of dealing with albums in our other bands where it was just really grinding along and taking a fair bit of time and effort. And so when Werewolves was started, the whole idea was don't take it too seriously. Don't sweat over stuff. And make it an easy band to do. And we're all pretty low drama guys. So it's not too hard to achieve. I know some bands like they form together and it's like, right, together we need to fucking split this planet in half, or we need to like hit the top immediately, or we kill ourselves. Like, there's that sort of like intensity to it. And we've all probably been in those bands in the past, and we're past that now. And now we just want to put out like the most fuck off album in death metal each year.
It's a bit more real that way. So
yeah. And the other thing as well is like, as a result of that, we don't really overthink anything. And it's really easy in death metal or making music to take on a persona or put on a front. That's not you. And so while I'm swearing at people and I'm writing about issues and we're blasting like idiots or whatever, there is also a degree of authenticity to it because we work so fast, it just comes pretty unadorned out of our skulls. And yeah, something about that like just seems to do it for people.
right.
Like,
So all of that must be why you guys have been able to so easily churn out an album each year with how do you do that with such a tight time constraint? Is it just because of all of what you explained where it just flows?
Yeah. Oh, look, I will preface it by saying it's not that easy anymore. It was easy the first few, like 2, maybe 3 albums, but now it is like, I'm not gonna lie, it is like hard work.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not just that we work well together. Anyone who's in a band will understand what I'm about to say, but there's just so much non-music stuff to do when you're in a band. Do you play in a band?
Well, I have a little bit, but no, not really.
Okay. There's like, once you start putting out albums and playing shows, like suddenly you're on timelines, reliability is a factor. And that means that you all have to take on tasks. Usually one person just gets lumped with the task of like booking and coming up with merch and organizing tours and doing the press. And that person usually ends up fucked off with everyone else, like within an album. Whereas with us, like we all tend to take on different parts of it. Matt really gets into not only just the songwriting, but also just driving like each bit of the project along, like from studio to reamping to mixing, just making sure that everything's going along. He's kind of like the producer. Dave very much has the merch side of things absolutely down, and sort of like, I guess, the proper business side. And myself, I just love running my mouth. So I usually get onto the press, doing the press part of it. But we've all got enough skills to be able to bleed into each other's like roles a little bit. So no one gets fully left holding the entire bag of work. So that kind of makes things easier as well. The other thing is we've also got a great team with us that we kind of stick with. Artwork is always done by Mitchell Nolte down in Tasmania, who always does a profoundly sick job. And the ugliest of all, the latest one, is no exception. The album cover to that is fucking foul. All my LPs that I get, I've got a drawer here at home that I fucking hide and lock up so the kids will never get into it. But also like Joe Haley, like he's always, been doing the mixes for us. He's just about got the template now. He just drops it in there and hey, Wells album. Rob Brenz, we've taken to using him like for band photos and have forced him to make music videos for us. But again, he works like us. like exceptionally reliable.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the main thing like with being able to do this many albums this quickly. Like we've just got a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is reliable. Everyone does what they're supposed to. There's minimum amount of having to poke people going, hey, have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? Which will just like take the fun out of anything you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exhausting being in a band, man. I've watched my friends who are also in bands and I see all what they do. It's not just going up there and playing, it's not just rehearsing, it's not just practicing. That's only 20% of it maybe. So yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The other thing, I guess, is when you say we're doing 10 albums in 10 years, you already know that you're going to be in it for 10 years. The mindset changes a bit, so you know it's going to be a marathon, not so much a sprint.
It's a commitment that you're already aware of from the start. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas a lot of bands kind of approach things as like a sprint or, a sprint until you all fucking burn out, and then you fall in a pile, and then you sprint again, and, that we sort of just keep the output pretty steady.
Yeah. So bass is often buried in a lot of extreme metal, but I'd say Werewolves, their low end, it's quite pummeling. So how do you go about carving yourself space against Matt's guitar and Dave's drums without it, getting swallowed up?
Well, I don't know. To be honest, all I hear is like Dave's kicks just going absolutely black and death metal warfare anytime I put one of our albums on. And to be honest, that probably sounds a hell of a lot better than my bass playing. Look, we've got a little bit of a work method that we use, or I should say Matt uses. It's his idea, and he's the one that makes sure it happens each time, which is like we don't choose our own tones. Whenever we record, we get some clean stems out the back. And before it goes in for mixing, the stems, both guitar and bass, go to like a guy Matt works with, like in Melbourne, a studio, and he'll, one of those places with like a million sort of like different heads and cabs, like all stacked around the place, and basically they'll reamp the bass and the guitar to go together, and that happens before it even goes over for mixing. So when Joe's got like the guitars to work with, he's already got something pretty much in the ballpark. And then it's just a matter of like, I don't know what he does, and I'm absolutely no mixer, and my ear's complete shit. So like, but I imagine, he's not having to mega EQ the fuck out of everything. He's not having to waste time like, going through all his VST like amp models or anything like that. He's just doing a few little tweaks, getting levels against the drums as well. And it leaves it a lot more time to clean things up and be neat.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever snuck a non-metal influence into your writing?
Oh, fuck me, yes, all the time. Oh,
really?
Mostly with the lyrics, yes. Yeah. Yeah, there'll be, each album, there'll be something like massively unmetal in there, but it will be in the context of a completely savage song, so it'll probably sound all the more ill for it. Like, I snuck a section of a child's nursery rhyme into like, it's not the current Werewolves album, it's another album that we're sort of recording and mixing at the moment. Faustian, number 2. Yeah, but it is something that I do with like Werewolves. I'm trying to think of any examples. I can't off the top of my head. Anyone who reads the lyrics and like, if they're looking for pop lyrics that have been like subverted or anything, you'll find them. Probably one instance I can think of, not with the current album, but Crushgasm, that was off our second album, What a Time to Be Alive. I quoted Madonna lyrics in that one. The one from Justify My Love, poor is the man whose pleasures depend on the permission of another, which is it's what the fuck, Madonna? It's like, yeah, if I wrote that, like, I should be pilloried. I have to Madonna wash my lyrics, like to be able to say the really horrible stuff in songs.
Do the Madonna check. Oh, man.
But yeah, like quite often that's what I'm doing. I'm taking sort of like lyrics from pop stars of people and just putting them in the completely wrong context and sticking them in songs, which I think is hilariously funny. Especially on the rare occasions where people sort of like want to talk about the lyrics or whatever, and they quote one of those specific sections, and I'm just like, yeah.
Okay.
I guess it sort of also goes the same with like a lot of the samples that we use. Like half of them are, brutal and vicious and horrible, and the other half are kind of just taken right out of context and creepier for it.
Love it. All right, Sam, thank you so much, man. That's all we've got time for today. I really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
your time. Thank you very much, man. You have a nice time and good luck at your show with Abbott. Wow, like what a grab.
Oh, dude, we're looking so forward to it. It's like sober Abbott, so we can't get like completely, traditional Australian wasted with him, but like all the same, he looks like quite the character, and we all fucking love like the old Immortal material. So you're gonna have a fun few days with that one.
I hope you get to have a chat with him or something.
Ah, so do we.
That'd be great. Anyway, take care, man. Thanks again.
Onto featureless plains of mud, they came to see you swallow fire and sweat.